third sutra, Shastra Yunitvat. Okay? Shastra Yunitvat means that the question, that third sutra answered the question, where do these Vedas come from, which give us the knowledge about our true nature. So what we said is, it also comes from where? Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman, Ishwara. Then we go on to say, it's not only that Vedas come from Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman, Ishwara. Every knowledge, ultimately, the source is Ishwara. Human beings don't create any knowledge. Human beings only shed ignorance. Okay? So therefore, source of every knowledge is Ishvara alone. When we shed the ignorance of things of the world can be removed through our pramana, means of knowledge, which is pratyaksha and anumana. Perception and inference can help us to remove ignorance about things which exist within time and space. Because that's our means of knowledge operate within things of time and space. And maybe at the most we can inquire about the nature of time and space. But that which is the truth of time and space, you cannot arrive at. Neither 1,000 years of now from earlier, nor today, nor in the future. Right? So therefore, you need an independent means of knowledge. And that independent means of knowledge is Vedanta. And where does it come from? The Creator has the key to the creation. Because the Creator knows what the creation is all about. Creator is not confused. Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman. Okay. So that means that key is in form of words which are made alive by the teacher using the methodology. Leading you from Vachyartha to Lakshyartha. Now, just one note that yesterday Neema asked me this question, which was actually a very good question. At night I didn't quite understand what she was asking me, but actually it was a very good question. Okay? I thought about it at night, I thought about it in the morning, and when I was explaining how that Bhagatyaga Lakshana is used for the word Jnanam, I said that generally by the word Jnanam, what is your Vachyartha? What is the direct meaning of the word Jnanam for you? Knowledge. But what knowledge? That little knowledge which takes place in your mind. That's all you know. So if there is no leading, what will you understand? That little thing. Right? So now the Shastra has to what? Take out that limitation which can exist in your mind by the meaning which is what? Knowledge. Chit. Chit is the Sanskrit word. So now, how will it do? By using a methodology. That methodology is, it will say, it's not by the word chit, I don't mean one little individual's knowledge, the knower or the sentiency which enables the person to know. I mean awareness, the invariable presence, because of which, what happens? All the knower gets to know things. Okay? And that invariable presence, which is consciousness, is not only in all the knowers which are human beings, but also in what? Objects of knowledge. What are the objects of knowledge? Everything. Everything that is here is object of knowledge. Okay? and also in the means of knowledge. How is a knower connected to the object of knowledge? Through this whole process which I explained yesterday. In order for me to know an object, what all is required? The eyes are required, then the light is required, then the object is required. It has to be within a certain distance that my eyes can catch. Then my mind has to be behind. All these conditions have to be met. Then what I saw, a vritti takes place. That akara vritti takes place. If I have to know steel cup, a corresponding thought takes place in my mind, which takes the form of that cup. Right? So therefore, that whole, and what is the content of every thought that you have? If you want to know cup, a thought of cup has to take place. If you want to know the flower, what? That cup thought has to be replaced by thought of flower. Whatever you want to know, the corresponding thought has to take place in your mind. Right? And what is the content of that thought? What is the relationship between awareness and the thought?
If you have to see the image, you have your thought. But if it is something nirakar that we are talking about, how do you get that?
So that means the awareness, right? The thought is what? A form, right? The content of that form is what? What is thought of a tree, thought of a cup, thought of a flower? It has its own content. What is that content? Awareness. And awareness, when one thought is replaced by the other thought, is it getting replaced? There is one invariable presence. When the cup thought gives itself up and a flower thought arises, there is one invariable presence which comes to know what? Now I am no longer thinking about the cup and now the thought of flower has come. So what is the relationship between awareness and a thought? Awareness is satyam and thought is mithya. Thought cannot exist without awareness, but awareness is independent of thought. Now, if it is all three, if this chit is what? Knower, object of knowledge and means of knowledge, can one thing be all contradictory things? No. So therefore, intrinsically it has to be what? Free from all three. Only then it can appear as all three. Can one thing be either small and at the same time big? Can it be? No, it cannot be. So therefore, that which accommodates small and big should be what?
Independent of them.
Independent of both. So, the gnata, gnanam and neyam is what all we see in Jagat. The awareness is what? Truth of everything, but being truth of everything, it is independent of everything. Satya-mithya relationship. The knowledge, the knower does not exist independent of awareness. The object of knowledge does not exist independent of awareness. The means of knowledge does not exist independent of awareness. That awareness is the invariable presence. While becoming all three, it is free from all three.
When you say something can't be big and small, you mean in...
So for example, let's take an example of space. Right? Now space in space there is this little atom, right? So, and in the same space there is mountain. Can space be only confined to atom? No. Can the space be only in the mountain? No. In order to accommodate small and big, it has to have what? No specific dimension of its own. It accommodates everything. You understand? Because in that, the concept of small and big exists. If it is only in the mountain, it will not be what? In the river space. If it is only in the river, it will not be in the tree. But in order for it to be everywhere, small and big, it cannot have a given size. Because when you say it is of this size, that means it excludes what? Everything else. Understand that? Logic. If it pervades everything, it cannot be any given thing. Like in your dream. You become what? The dream mountain. You become dream river. You become dream characters. Is your awareness only in the mountain? No. Is it only in the river? No. Is it only in one character? No. It pervades the whole dream world. But because it pervades the whole dream world, what? Mountain is not separate from your awareness, right? But your awareness is not confined to the mountain. River cannot exist without awareness, your awareness, but your awareness is not confined to the river. Characters that you see in your dream cannot exist without your awareness, but your awareness is not confined to those characters. Being all, it is what? Free from all. Because if it was only the mountain, it cannot be the river. If it was only the river, it cannot be the characters. Being all, essentially, is only possible when it is free from all. Logic. Okay, so therefore this awareness is essentially what? Free from being jnata, jnanam and neyam. It's just awareness, within which all three characters appear. The knower, the object of knowledge and the means of knowledge. Yeah. So, and that's why it is limitless. Right? It is the existence which is what? Not limited in terms of time. It is the truth of time. The presence which is in which the units of time resolve. It is the presence in which the very concept of space resolves. It is awareness in which every object that you think is tangible becomes just nothing but a concept and it resolves. Okay? So that is meant by Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. And where is the place this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam available to you? Brahman available to you? The only place, please understand, because if it is available to you as an object within time and space, it will become what? Highly limited. Highly less restricted. The only place where it is very well hidden is in your buddhi as I. I. If it was not available to you, Vedas will have no way to communicate to you. unfortunately that I got mixed up with what? That little mind and body. It does have a special relationship with one body and mind. But it is essentially free from it. But you live your life for lifetimes thinking this is all you are. What does Vedanta do? Makes you see the relationship between that invariable presence and everything else which is changing and within time and space. Okay? Niyam, to be known, which is an object of knowledge. Now, Carl's question about why the word Ananda is used. What is the real meaning that you want to convey? Ananta, which is limitless. Why the word Ananda is used? Ananda seems to be some kind of a state of mind. Right? It's a state of you without that it's one of the emotions. Which part of the mind it is?
Subtle.
Yeah, the mind is subtle, but within mind we further divided mind into four functions. Manas. Right? So that means it's not only the entire mind, it's what? It's just one function of the mind. Other functions being buddhi, chittam and ahankara. Right? So therefore, this one little thing, what do you want to do? You want to expand that happiness and you want to call it what? Bliss. That is giving such a restricted meaning to what Vedanta is talking about. What Vedanta is talking about is what? Truth of time, space, objects, and you are making it what? Little function of your mind and increasing the intensity by reducing it to bliss. So therefore, you need to give that whole thing up forever. If you think that as a result of learning Vedanta, you will have some kind of a mind, the emotion of mind which is constant and which is bliss, you are for a trip. A trip which is never-ending trip. Because mind by its own nature is what? Moving. Every thought, how long does it last? Seconds. Now imagine that second which is programmed like that, you are trying to stretch for rest of your life. You are in a losing game. You don't even know what your next thought is going to be. Now you want to stretch one thought to what? Till the time that you die. Eternity. But, exactly. Till the time that you die, but even that time, let's say you are by some kind of a hallucination, you believe that you are able to stretch. Even that stretching, till when can it happen? Till the mind is. What is the life of your mind in a countless flow of time? Minuscule. And then you think it is equal to limitless. What a confusion. What the magnitude of confusion that you live with is just incredible. Upon inquiry, it is like the silliest thing. But people devote their life to it. Some bliss that they want to experience for the rest of their lives. Constant bliss. These are what we call experience seekers. So, because I need to move on, and also, just 1 second. Now, if this is the case, I will explain. If you have then any question, then you ask me, Kara. Now, so it can certainly not mean what some little emotion that happens in my mind. But in spite of that, Shastra uses the word Ananda. So there is a purpose. Why does it use the word Ananda instead of Ananta? So therefore, let's go back to Taittiriya Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in the second Valli, there is a whole section which is Ananda Mimamsa. It starts with, it's a very interesting concept. It's a very nice communication. It starts with saying that let's see how much, because our whole pursuit is what? Ananda. Everybody wants happiness. Very few people come to Vedanta to just know the truth of oneself. People come because what they want to have certain amount of happiness. Now, in this, he begins to talk about units of Ananda. And the units of Ananda, it goes very interestingly. Amma knows. Right? The units of Ananda are 1 unit of Ananda. 1 unit of Ananda is this person on this earth, right, who is young, beautiful, very wealthy, very intelligent, anything that you can think of, who is the luckiest person, and write down. Who has beautiful husband, who has beautiful children, everything happens according to one's wishes, everything. That is what he says, that is only what? That there is no person like that, first of all. But in that Ananda Taratamya, he says that is only 1 unit of Ananda. Why is it 1 unit of Ananda? Because everything that you have imagined, which never happens to anyone, can only be experienced through what? Your mind. And mind is an instrument. It is capable of, it is designed, human mind is capable of experiencing happiness according to what? This subtle body that it has. The nature of mind. And that itself is limited. You can't experience happiness outside your mind, by the way. You can only experience it with mind. So the mind as an instrument is so limited that even if you have everything, it will have only what? 1 unit of Ananda. Why? Because the instrument is designed in a way that it cannot have what? Now, imagine, this is why there is this whole quest of going to other lokas where you have what? More subtle objects and subtler mind to enjoy those objects. So here he says that 1 unit that a human being experiences, then more than that is when you go to Pitruloka. Because in Pitruloka, the objects change and your mind also changes. Because you have a subtler mind and subtler objects. So that Ananda gets multiplied when you go to Pitruloka. Now imagine you have done karma which are even better, which takes you to Gandharvaloka. Which is again multiplied. Because you have different mind and different objects, which are even subtler in nature. And it goes on. It says what? Devaloka, then what? Pitruloka, then Gandharvaloka, Devaloka, Indraloka, and highest is what? Brahmaloka. So as you begin to move higher, you have subtler objects and subtler mind, which enables you to enjoy more. Then it makes a very interesting statement. The person who knows the reality whatever Manushya Ananda becomes that person's, whatever is experienced in what? Pitruloka belongs to that person. Whatever is experienced in Gandharvaloka, it belongs to that person. Whatever is experienced in Indraloka, it belongs to that person. Whatever is experienced in Brahmaloka, it belongs to that person. Kshotriyasya cha akama hatasya. How? It's not that the subtle body of this person gets reprogrammed to experience all this ananda. The person understands a simple fact, that everybody is experiencing the ananda according to what? The program of the subtle body. More subtle the subtle body, more the experience of ananda. Directly proportionate. And who are you? The awareness which is the basis of all subtle bodies. Please understand, what is the meaning? When you say, I am awareness, it is truth of what? Physical body. Not only your physical body, all physical bodies. Physical bodies of what? People who are in Gandharvaloka, people who are in Pitraloka, bodies which are what? In Brahmaloka, Indraloka, all bodies, not just this little body. When you say you are the truth of subtle body, you are not only truth of one subtle body, you are truth of what? All subtle bodies wherever they are existing. We saw the relationship between awareness and what? Objects. You have to bring in all this. This is what we have studied. And when you understand that awareness is the truth of what? All causal bodies. All causal bodies means what? Not only your causal body, but what? Everybody's causal body, which is wherever. Being the truth of time, space and object. It's a huge thing. That awareness, whoever is wherever, experiencing whatever. The whole show is within what? Awareness. So whoever is experiencing ananda wherever, what is the real cause? Awareness. Because that units they can experience through their subtle bodies. But the real cause is what? Only one, which is awareness, which what? Because of subtlety of your mind, you are able to derive more pleasure. So therefore, the knower of Brahman becomes what? Absolutely. Not because the subtle mind is experiencing some high volume of pleasure. Please understand. Got it? That means whoever is experiencing whatever ananda in this universe through whichever subtle body, what I am, the I, if you put it in the right place, which is what, not this little individual, but the invariable presence, that is the final source. From where comes all physical bodies, all subtle bodies, all causal bodies, time, space, everything. That little shift and everything changes. That little shift is the most significant shift. Because this awareness is not, please don't keep on thinking of it as something connected to your little individuality.
So we are saying consciousness, awareness, is the truth of all these. Okay. But, question, awareness is only experienced through the bodies. It's not.
While you're alive,
Yes.
it is available in your buddhi as self-evident type.
Yes, but we are always saying awareness is not doing or
Yeah.
it's just being.
Is being, exactly.
Okay.
Because who does? Body does.
Yes, yes.
The activities take place in the body, the activities take place in the mind, the activities takes place within time and space.
Because we are saying we are experiencing ananda, but awareness is not experienced.
Exactly.
This is what I mean.
Absolutely. Awareness is not experience. Whoever is experiencing whatever, wherever, with that subtle body that they have, awareness is the truth. That is what I understand myself to be. It doesn't mean that my mind is going through some experience of heightened happiness. That is not what it is like.
It is also a dependent reality.
It will become a dependent reality. It will become so insignificant. So therefore, with reference to our Purushartha, right, what we are seeking, ultimately, what? If you want to restrict it, what? As an experience to a subtle body, it still remains a very limited thing. You have to free it from this individuality and see, begin to see, when Shastra talks about Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma is you, it's not talking about some little expansion of this little individual. You will be the trip if you think like that. Who are you? How much are you going to expand yourself? If you retain your I sense in this individuality, it would then tend amount to hallucinations.
If that shift is not sudden, that's the lifetime progress.
Exactly. So that means, what is, we are not talking about anything, we are talking about why the word Ananda is used. For this reason. I'm not giving an advice, oh yeah, you have to know this. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying why the word Ananda is used. Because whoever is experiencing Ananda, wherever, the real, they are experiencing through an instrument.
But the main mood is ananta.
The main word is Ananda. Right? So now, let's move to Okay. Now the second meaning of this Shastra Yonitvat is also what? Not only Ishwara is the source of knowledge, source of this Veda, but only through Veda the nature of Brahman can be known. That's the second meaning. There is no other means. Right? Shastrasyapi yonitvat means it comes from Veda. And you can't use any other pramana because Pratyaksha has no access to it, Anumana has no access to it. Okay? So therefore, that is the second meaning. So now, there are a lot of unfortunate thing which has happened in Vedanta is because people don't understand the whole implication of the teaching, the whole teaching is reduced to what? Because this body is limited, the mind is limited, and you want to feel great about yourself. So you somehow use a very superficial prakriya to say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, and I'm this awareness, and you start floating in the air. This is so dangerous. So dangerous that it is just, you become more mad than a normal human being. So therefore, this whole thing is, when we talk about that self-evident awareness, we bring in so much of it is what? Ishwara. Because it's not some awareness which is floating in the air. People start hallucinating by that awareness. So therefore, the traditional Vedanta talks extensively about Ishwara. You can't have Vedanta without just floating, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, and I'm that awareness. That is the most simplistic version of Vedanta. And unfortunately, so much of Vedanta is taught like that, which is such a huge disservice. Such a huge disservice to this brilliant knowledge. You need Ishwara. Why do you need Ishwara? Because of multiple reasons. First, even if you come to this so-called very superficial understanding that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm awareness, you still have to account for how did this world come about, in which you find your body and bodies of everybody else and minds of everybody else and the sun and the moon and the planets and everything. If you are searching for truth, this is such a partial understanding of what it is. Because if your search is for truth, you cannot but ask the question, where did this world come from? Nama Rupa Bhasyam Vyakritaha Niyata Kala Desha. Where did this world come from? Where there is time, there is space, there is all these different objects, there is interaction through series of laws. How did it all come about? You need Ishwara. But you can't just have again some concept of Ishwara hanging in the air. You need to understand the nature of this Ishwara as what? Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. It is not only from where everything has come, it is by which everything is being sustained and unto which everything goes. Because if you don't understand that, you will get into a logical problem. What is the logical problem you will get into? You can say, Ishwara created the universe. Okay, Ishwara created the universe using what material? Just as the pot maker created, Anita brought this pot for me from the market, so I have to use it. I can't keep on using glass. She told me our teacher used to use pot. So she went to the market and brought this pot for me. From Gayatri. Right? So now, here there are two causes. One is the pot maker and the other one is the clay, using which the pot came about. Not only I'm using it with both hands. Yes, he had all these different series of pots, right? So therefore, in this creation there are two causes. One is the maker and the other one is material. And two are different. In the case of the entire creation, if you suppose that there are two different causes, one is what? The maker, who we generally call what? God, the Lord, Ishwara. And if you ask, what is the material which was used by this Ishwara to create this whole universe, what will you say? If you say that the material is external to this Ishwara, I will ask you this question, where did this material come from? Who created that material using which Ishwara made the universe?
It was within him.
Excellent. Right? Logically it's not possible, because if you postulate and if you say that in the case of the entire creation, right, the maker is different from material. If material is already existing, there is already creation. Then you can ask this question, who created that material using which Ishwara created this universe? You will have another Ishwara. Right? So therefore, the only logical possibility, when we talk about Ishwara creating this whole universe, what does it mean? The time has not yet come, the space has not yet come, the objects have not yet come. Where is the question of using existing material? Existing material means what? Time is already there, space is already there, the objects within those time and space are already there. This Ishvara will become just like you and me. So therefore, logically, it's not possible that in the case of the entire creation, material cause and maker are two separate things. So therefore, the material also is, Ishvara is both the maker and the material. When Ishvara becomes both the maker and the material cause of creation pervades what? The creation. Can you think of a pot without the clay? The material cause of this pot, which is clay, pervades the pot. If Ishvara is the material cause of the universe, it has to pervade what? The creation. Then you can ask yourself, If Ishwara is pervading the creation, why don't I see any entity called Ishwara? I see only trees, I see only rivers, I only see human bodies. Where is Ishwara? You have to use Pramana again. Every form that you see is a mithya. It is forms within forms within forms within forms. There is that intelligence which arranges all those tiniest materials in all these different sequences to make it into tangible objects. That intelligence pervades every form. Not only it pervades every form, but it also governs the interaction between different forms through series of laws. That intelligence is all there is. Isha Bhasyam Idam Sarvam. So therefore, this Ishvara is what? Everywhere. You can't have Vedanta without knowing this. Just awareness, awareness, awareness doesn't make any sense. From this Ishvara comes what? This whole Veda. You need Ishvara. Because whole Vedanta Shastra, which has the key to make you understand the reality about what the creation is, you need the Veda. It comes from Ishvara. You need it. You need Ishvara even there. Even the self-growth that we are talking about. Psychology is only one aspect of that growth. How far will psychology take you? Before you thought that it was all because of you, that you are feeling, sad or angry. Then, after some analysis, you will say, okay, my mom was like that to me when I was a child, my dad was like that to me when I was a child, therefore I am carrying the baggage. So what have you done using psychology? Transferred the blame. You've taken it away from you, but you've transferred it to that other person who did it, because of which I'm feeling the way I'm feeling now. Vedanta helps you to totally resolve and not transfer that blame or guilt. Why? Because it talks about that order which Surya has been talking about in meditation, which says, hey, that person who did this to you many times, what? The person himself or herself is so helpless in that confusion of theirs that they couldn't do anything better. It's not that many people deliberately harm you. In their confusion, harm happens. So that person has their own causes for being who they are. Then those people, because of whom they got their confusion, they have their own causes. We have what? A legacy. If you don't correct the mistake, you pass on the mistake. And every step, that mistake gets multiplied. And we all become what? Part of that whole mistake. Unless we correct ourselves. So therefore, you have to resolve all your resentment, all your anger, all your sadness in that lack of Ishvara. There are causes within causes within causes within causes. Where will you trace it back to? finally you can say, Ishwara has also given me the capacity to undo this confusion here and now. And when I undo and I do things differently, what will happen? The future will unfold differently. So therefore, you drop blame, you drop anger, you drop your hurt in the lap of Ishwara, in your understanding of Ishwara. Causes within causes, within causes, within causes. Who are you going to blame? You let go all your resentment and you begin to trust the order. This is so deep. Human psyche needs this. Otherwise, everything is incomplete. The stories are incomplete. Why this person did this to me, you have no answer. Exactly. But that karma is manifestation of Ishwara.
The last point is always Ishwara.
So exactly. So that means everything resolves in Ishwara. Therefore, you need Ishwara in your life. Even to get rid of your psychological burdens, your emotions. Finally, you need Ishwara to connect you to the right teacher. Where are you going to go and search for a teacher? Go with a torch and look for a teacher. Guru. I want a guru. So therefore, you can only search for what? The wisdom, and you can ask for help. Then it is the larger order which connects the teacher to the student. You need Ishwara. Then you come to Vedanta. Initially everything goes above. Maybe we get 5% of the class, unless you have some purva punya, where you have thought about it and it all just keeps coming back. It was amazing. When I was in Sanskrit class and all this Panini grammar was going on, it was like, oh my God, it was just coming to me like as though I had done it earlier. What people were struggling with so much, because it's all some meta language and some mathematical connections. It's so tough. People feel like, oh my God, Panini grammar means everybody was intimidated. It just started. Our teacher was brilliant, by the way. I mean, all the credit doesn't certainly go to me. He was absolutely brilliant in the way he was showing it. But it was just making so much sense to me. It was all just getting unfolded.
Yeah, a lot of times this thing happens, when you're listening,
Exactly.
and you feel that, oh, this was already there. I know it. Yeah.
So that means what? Everything is what? Somehow learned, but not completely learned. When you connect to the right teacher, everything starts
Uncovered and you start seeing it.
absolutely. It starts getting, that process of shedding becomes much faster. And you begin to see without much difficulty.
Even if you just now said karma is manifestation of Ishwara, do we say that then it falls within the laws of dharma so created by Ishwara?
Absolutely. Wonderful. So what our teacher used to say is, dharma and karma are two sides of one coin.
One coin, yeah.
If you follow dharma, the karma is what? Punya. If you follow adharma, then what? Papa.
But I'm still within that if karma is the manifestation of Ishwara,
Even
does it
dharma-
fall within the purview of laws of dharma created by Ishwara for the same karma?
Yeah. So that means dharma is manifestation of Ishvara and karma is also manifestation of laws of Ishvara. Every law is a manifestation of Ishvara. That's why we don't look at any law as a mechanical law. Everything is manifestation of Ishvara.
So that free will allows us to look at dharma or adharma.
Exactly. Go by either adharma because of our narrowly defined self-interest or aligned with the laws of dharma. Okay? So therefore, your connection to the teacher is because of Ishvara. Your capacity to understand. People come and ask, Swamiji, when will I get moksha? When will I shed the entire ignorance and see this? You think Swamiji can? He can always pretend and he said, oh, now I have Divya Chakshu and I'm going to tell you. It's all drama. Nobody knows. It is only Ishvara. Nobody knows how much what you will understand, because as some purva samskaras can make you what? Quantum jumps in your understanding. Exponential learning. There is no linear thing here. Then the effort that you make to refine your instrument through your own efforts. It's all functions of so many things. Then Ishwara is going to what? Put it all together and give you the result.
So
Do you
when-
have it in your hand? Can you control it? There's no way. That illusion of control is ignorance.
So when we talk of the soul, when we say that
See, there is
soul
no
within
word
us,
called
yeah,
soul.
so
in
that is awareness
Vedanta.
only, no? In context to soul.
So I don't know, because see, the word soul is a different language and it has all different philosophy behind it. So I can't really begin to answer that question.
That is beyond the context of Vedanta.
Exactly. Because we use very specific words. We use what? Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, Jiva, Ishvara and Brahman.
So that quest which is in inner jiva for anything, let's say Vedanta, let's say anything, what is that quest? Is that awareness?
Every form, everything is within awareness.
Hmm.
Awareness is the truth where the whole show is going on. And while the whole show is going on, awareness is free from it. This is the vision of Vedanta. Nothing can happen outside Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Right? But any given thing that happens is what? Nitya. It depends upon that awareness. Awareness is free from whatever is happening. Imagine, one good analogy is a movie. You go and you see a movie, right? What is there? A wide screen. Now in this wide screen, you see Shah Rukh Khan running around. You see Priyanka Chopra running behind him. Or the vice versa. Is there real Shah Rukh Khan who's running around? It is all just play of lights. The whole thing is play of lights, and that play of lights gives what? Makes you see trees, makes you see mountains, makes you see characters. And when you are seeing, you get so engrossed that when Shah Rukh Khan is in trouble, you start, oh my God. There was actually, I have to tell you one story, that in South India, Rajnikant is a hero. Rajnikant is such a hero, and he has his amazing style, right? when he wants to smoke, he will not just smoke like this. He'll do tuck and then the cigarette will fall in. And then the whole audience starts clapping. They get so identified with Rajnikant, it's just unbelievable. When he's in trouble, people all get nervous. I've never seen that. And when he's giving like thud thud dushum dushum to people, then all the audience is cheering. That whole thing, it is just hilarious, more than the movie. To watch the audience, how they get identified with this character is just hilarious. It's lovely. Everybody's participating in that whole process with Rajnikant. All getting involved. Right? Now, the whole show, while you are seeing, it all seems very real. It is what? Just play of lights on that white screen. While you are seeing the whole drama, does the white screen take on any attributes of Shah Rukh Khan or Priyanka Chopra or Rajnikant? Does it touch them even a little? Can you see all those characters without that white screen? The entire play of lights which brings about all these characters. There is one thing which you miss, because while the show is going on, do you see the white screen? You don't see it at all. But you have to figure out that the whole thing is not possible without that white screen. And that white screen, when the whole thing is going on, is never affected by it. That white screen with reference to drama of life is what? Your awareness. Once you know that, you will play this drama with freedom. You will enjoy the play. Why? Because imagine, you go to a movie, hero never gets into trouble. And doesn't show one's intelligence how to come out of that trouble. Everything is given, everything is beautiful. Our teacher used to give an example. The example is that of, you go and see a movie where there is a man and a woman. They had perfect childhood, both of them. There was no trouble at all. Everybody was loving, everybody was caring, everybody gave them the best education. Siblings were nice, friends were nice, everything was beautiful. Now, when these hero and heroine were brought up with perfect background, they came together, they got married to each other. They had perfect relationships, no conflicts. Everything happened exactly. Then they had kids, and they were also perfect. They said, nobody will go and see this movie. Where is masala? You need a little bit of a villain. You need a little bit of what? Masala here, that somebody tries to come and separate those two individuals. Then how this hero figures it all out? You need characters. And the heroes and heroines have to do what? Emerge as winners from what? All the troubles that come along. Then it becomes entertaining.
More real.
More real. Drama of life is like that.
So does one become aware of this awareness step by step?
I just
Gradually?
taught you this,
Yeah,
right?
gradually.
I mean, the whole methodology is to lead you to that. Guru helps you to make you see that reality for yourself. You can't just start thinking about, this is why you need Shastra and whole methodology. And what you have been doing for these 10 days is what? Looking at the Vedas through a teacher to understand the nature of realities. Right? So therefore, in that whole pursuit of Vedanta, you need Ishwara. There is no pursuit without Ishwara. This whole thing of Neo-Vedanta, which talks about I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm that awareness, and that awareness is bliss, is a joke.
They are denying Ishwara because they are saying it's an illusion.
Exactly.
Jagat is illusion, it's Maya. So no need to speak about Ishwara. It's not existing.
Also, it has to be coupled with dharma, because if you keep just tripping like that,
Absolutely.
then you're just tripping. It's like
You're just tripping.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It has to be. And dharma is manifestation of Ishvara. Your whole being is manifestation of Ishvara. Otherwise it just becomes flaky. Some trip. Hallucination. The whole foundation. You want to build a foundation. Without a foundation, you want to what?
reach nirvana.
Exactly. Nirvana, correct. Right?
No, at times even you hallucinate that you are already in the state of nirvana.
Exactly.
There are people talking.
See?
I've known people talking like this.
Absolutely.
You just had some good charas.
Yeah, or either they are high, where they are high from, but then they always say we're in state of nirvana.
So all this is what? Just minds. You know, mind has an amazing power of imagining whatever it wants. Projecting. That's why when we say our website is what? Being alive to realities. Vedanta is what? Yoga of objectivity and being alive to realities. This is what the whole pursuit of Vedanta is. It's not according to, I'm interested in this Brahman part, but I'm not interested in this Ishwara part. You can't say that. And many Vedanta teachers buy into that whole thing and they tell me, oh, how are you bringing in Ishwara in this whole teaching? I said, in this teaching, other than Ishwara, what will I talk about in Vedanta? I'm not catering to what they want to hear. I'm teaching, I have to do justice to this amazing tradition. If they are interested, if they are mature, they'll listen. If they are not mature and if they want to have a trip, they will not be here. And I don't care the least. It's not like a marketplace where I choose this and I let go this. The truth means you need to understand the totality of things. You can't ignore one huge part and just concentrate on one little flaky part. Right? So that means this is not an ordinary knowledge. Now, in the next class, the last sutra, which is Tattu Samannaya.
Just one question.
Yes, please.
So, say you're on a path like this and really getting more and more aligned with the vision, but the people around you, like whether it's a spouse or close friends or whatever, are just totally not in that space.
Yes.
It's really hard to constantly role play and not get caught up because a part of you is in that world as well. How do you kind of like deal with that conflict?
Yeah, Namita, this is a real conflict. I don't want to kind of say, no, it's easy, it's not. Right? It is tough. Because when you are changing so much and you are trying to align so much, and if others are not even aware that there is a pursuit, but not only that, they have their own idea of what that pursuit is and make fun of you, or say that you are becoming some kind of a, it's a clutch or I don't know, whatever, right? And starts making fun of you, it's tough. How are you going to explain to them that, oh my God, it's not something, because they are only thinking from their own image of what they think Vedanta is. They have no idea what Vedanta is.
But where is the need to even explain?
No,
You have to
but
say
because
stop
you don't
you
have
can't.
to. But people that you very closely interact with,
That's
like your
a different
spouse
thing, yeah.
or your, and this is something which happens a lot, right? If one of the persons is interested in Vedanta and they are really changing, right? And the other person thinks that this is all just a hoax, and you're living with that person, right? That becomes an issue. We can't deny that, right? And this is where your whole creativity is like, this hero is coming, the challenge comes, has to find an interesting way out without getting bogged down. Then life becomes fun. This is, it is challenging. Without denying that challenge, apply and say, hey, let me find a way out. Instead of making it heavy and making it sad and making it all, make it it's challenge. Let me use my buddhi to figure out a way. Life will become fun. These little kids, they play this car game. When they are playing this car game, a car is coming like this. What do they have to do? They have to go this, right? Now then, where they go, another car is coming there. They have to move this way, right? Then another huge truck comes. Then they have to go much more than before. All this, constantly things are happening and you have to find your way out. One time you are not so alert, it will bang. But can you sit and cry that I banged? You have to keep going. They love it. Life is like that. Navigate. Navigate intelligently. You can't have a rule, move only 2 inches. Can you make a rule? Or move only 1 inch? As per the situation.
Also use your free will to, obviously.
That is for doing that you are using your free will. You are constantly using your free will to decide where to go. How to deal with that situation. Infinite possibilities are given in this little brain of yours. This little brain of yours has an amazing capacity, amazing creativity. But unfortunately, we have our habitual ways of thinking has presented only 2 extreme situations. Either I'm passive and don't do anything about it, or I'm aggressive and make fights with everyone. But in between those 2 things, there are infinite possibilities of how to apply, how to deal. When if we don't use it and then say, I'm helpless, whose fault it is? It is, we are highly underutilizing this gift that is given to us. Find ways of dealing with situations. Ask for help from Ishwara when you don't know how to do it, and you will see whole life will become pleasurable.
Can you just share something that I
Yeah,
said was
please.
funny?
Yes.
I also, in the beginning when I started, and sometimes I'd just get remarks at the dining table or something that, oh, she thinks she knows it all, she's into this up. So a couple of times I just sat quietly. The third time I said, can't you see the halo on my head? Can't you see me floating out? And it just became a joke, and everyone started laughing. And then the topic just goes off to something else. You just say something and just turn
Exactly,
it
and
around.
use humor. Where am I going to get into this anger and argument? You just laugh it off and exactly. So there are so many different ways.
When
Yeah.
people say something like that, like, oh, you're studying Vedanta and still you do this, I mean, what are they expecting? Just because they've studied physics in school, it doesn't make them a physicist. It's a lifelong learning. There's so much to do before the shift happens and the transformations take place. I mean, you just...
Absolutely. And you just go on. Right? It's lovely.
One of
Absolutely.
the
Very good, Shona.
one of the challenges which people mentally have with respect to Vedanta is, like you said, that once you study Vedanta, you become detached from everything else. And they expect that this guy, so they're very worried about this, as especially as spouses are worried about this aspect that you might get into sannyasis. Actually, I was talking to my wife, and the last 5 days she's slowly been more and more worried about the way I'm not calling her. So, yesterday night, I had to actually clarify and give her. I said, you know what, Vedanta told me exactly the opposite of what I knew, which is actually not true. But I told her, it's a have more fun, go do everything, that's what Vedanta does. Then she said, okay, you're not
You wrote that sigh of relief from the
Okay, so the next class is at 11:45. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.